Greetings, everyone. Some of you have been asking about the gates, so I decided to do a video on the gates, and then I'll make this video on introduction to the gates, and then maybe a separate one on the Aries um, gate for the sun right now. So in this preliminary video, what it is that this is the human design mandala, and you could see very clearly the overlay that is here. And that overlay is that you could see the signs and you could see how they're overlaid with all the 64 gates of the hexagrams of the I Ching. This mandala also includes the outer sphere, and that corresponds to four different quarters of the mandala. And so these are themes, dominant themes of the particular incarnations that incarnate their sun personality gate around that particular part of the quarter. So you'll notice we'll start with Aries. Um, Now the mandala begins with Aquarius. So the new year was January 21st, 22nd of Aquarius. So the new year begins over here in gate 41. And this is where Pluto was this year. So we had Sun conjunct Pluto on the Rave New Year. And as many of you know, this is rebirth, this is transformation. There's so many layers and thematics of this year being a highly transformative year. It's just too many layers. I don't want to go over them again as I have in many videos and you probably heard elsewhere. But this is where we began the year. So around January 20th, the sun went into gate 41 to meet Pluto. And then it has about 5, 6 days, the sun, 5.5 days, I'd say 5.5 days, the sun will occupy a particular gate. And 5 gates make up a sign. So Aquarius, for example, is going to have gates 41, 19, 13, 49, and 30. And these can be found correspondingly on the human body design graph. So it's a little small here, the mandala, but it's enough to be able to see. I can pull it in so you guys can see a little deeper into it. So I don't know how much better this will be, but you can kind of see the correspondence. So gate 41 is down here on the body graph, on the right-hand side of the root center, colored black for it being a transit. And you'll notice that for the transits for the remainder of the year and most of next year, Pluto will occupy that gate, bringing limitations, collective limitations, to our fantasies for the fantastical. And this was a process that has been going on for years with the two other gates of light and darkness, 60, where it was before. And so the sun has moved all this area here through Aquarius gates, through the Pisces gates of 55, 37, 63, 22, and 36, where the nodes are presently, and also where Saturn and Venus and Mercury are. As I've discussed before, the North Node will be in Pisces for the next 2.5 years. It'll be in gate 36 till June, highlighting the major theme of relationships. You can see Neptune here just having made its move into gate 25, line 2. So it was already in gate 25 for a couple days. In the astrology, um, Neptune began at 0 degrees Aries. But in human design, gate 25 occupies the final degrees of Pisces and the early degrees of Aries. So it was already in gate 25. Then you'll see today, is Wednesday, April 2nd. This is a very important day. Our president's gonna announce some themes having to do with the tariffs. So we'll see what happens today. And you could see the sun here is occupying gate 21, and it's right there in the middle. And what's fascinating about that is gate 21. Well, I'll go more to it when I go into the video on sun gate 21, but we'll just say these are the Aries gates. We began in 25, and then we were in 17 last week. This week we're in 21. On Friday, the sun will transition to gate 51. And then next week it'll transition, midweek it'll transition to the 42 where Chiron is. That'll be a little painful. Chiron always opens up a wound. It's the malefic. That's one of the malefics. And it's a wound to look at, you know. And 42 is beginnings, if I'm correct, or endings rather. Yeah, 53 is beginnings. 42 would be endings. I have to, well, the graph's right here. Yeah, 42 would be endings. How to end things. And then it'll go into 3, and then as you could see, it'll go, and this is the symbol of the I Ching. So these gates correspond to the I Ching. They correspond to the genetics. We have 64 codons and 6 bases per codon. The I Ching has been proven to be parallel with our genetics, our genetic codes, the codons and the bases. And so you could see the hexagram, and that's all the versions of the lines, open and closed lines throughout the mandala. And then we'll move into Taurus in late April and May, and you could see these gates. We already know that Uranus is in gate 8. We can see that here, Taurus. And it will go into Gemini on July 7th. We could see the moon here in Gemini, and we could see Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter will be going into Cancer, so it'll be moving to the 45, to the 12, and to the 15, the gate of extremes, where it'll be in the summer. And it'll be for a whole year. So Jupiter will go slowly through these Cancer gates. As you could see, presently we have Mars in 62. Mid-month, Mars will enter gate 31. And mid-month? Or will it be a little later? I think mid-month. And that's going to be very powerful. Once Mars gets into 56, actually, a couple of degrees in, it will be in Leo, and it will oppose Pluto. Now, this is a big aspect for this in next month. So pay attention. This happened in January when we had a bunch of bombs in the Middle East. So this could be another shift of energy, huge. I mean, we know this is going on and off all year. You know, with the Venus star point being in Morning Star, and it being ruled by Pallas Athena. This is like war and strategy. And it's Aries, so it's the beginning point, and Aries also symbolizes war. So Mars will oppose Pluto, and there'll be conflict, there'll be tension, and not just in the outer and the external, but people could get in our face. I mean, oppositions are formal oppositions. Someone is getting in front of you, and your job is to resolve the polarity, you know, balance out the polarity any way you choose. And so that gives you a picture. You could see the whole mandala now, all the signs, and it goes around, and each quarter is ruled by a different theme. You see mutation up there in the 4th quarter, duality in the 3rd quarter, which is relationships, and civilization form on the bottom quarter, which is the 2nd quarter. And the 1st quarter is initiation, the mind, and that covers Pisces, part of Taurus, and Aries. So this is the human design mandala, and you could see in this graph, we have these centers and we have these gates, which create little, almost like half channels. And so they're colored in black in correspondence. They have biological meanings as well as particular amino acids that rule them, as well as biological body parts that rule these particular gates, major themes. Each planet in a particular gate has a slightly different nuance. Ultimately, the meaning of these gates, and I'll speak this more from a metaphysical perspective, they're like vanishing points in the biofield of a human being. So these are energy frequencies, and we all feel them all the time. It's even more powerful with the glands, which are the centers. And you can, if you've studied human design for a while, you could start to feel this in people's auras. I'm to the point where I can talk with someone for a little while and be able to assess what type they are, what human design type they are, just through the quality of their voice. And that's from studying this for years. I had my first reading in 2003 and started studying not long after. Well, maybe 5, 6 years after. And so ultimately, these are frequencies that you can tap into. And even in meditation, you could tap in. You could say that you could make the intention to experience one of these gates. You could say gate 51. I want to feel that experience of that. I want to go into that energy in my own field, in my own body. And so right now we're in the dominant theme of the 21, which is it's like the channel of the well, I'll save it for the next video. But Aries channels or gates are about leadership, fire, boldness, initiation, um, very powerful, very initiative gates, Aries being, the first symbolic of the beginning of the year, the real beginning in a sense. But in human design, it's actually January 21st, as I was saying, which is closer to Aquarius, Pisces. And I'll leave it at that for now. If you guys have further questions, I can nuance this more later. But I am going to begin today or after this video. I'll be doing the sun gate for every 5, 6 days. And that'll give you a sense of the dominant neutrinos that we're being influenced by. So the sun influences about 60% of all the neutrinos. And this is a scientific term, but it was actually a human design term before science kind of validated it. And so, the stardust that we're hit with, the planetary dust, a large percentage of it is from the sun. And then another major portion is from Jupiter. And then the rest of the planets. I think it's 60, maybe it's 80 with the sun. I'm not remembering. But that's what it is. That's what these gates are. That's what they mean and they're symbolic of. I will go over the channels and the gates and this particular setup for today in another video. And hope you enjoy it. Again, if you have any further questions about this, hope I was clear. Just let me know and you guys take care.